chapters 28 through 34 of the book of Deuteronomy from the World English Bible. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mark Penfold. The book of Deuteronomy from the World English Bible, chapters 28 through 34. Chapter 28. It shall happen, if you shall listen diligently to the voice of Yahweh your God, to observe to do all his commandments which I command you this day, that Yahweh your God will set you on high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on you, and overtake you, if you shall listen to the voice of Yahweh your God. You shall be blessed in the city, and you shall be blessed in the field. You shall be blessed in the fruit of your body, the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your animals, the increase of your livestock, and the young of your flock. Your basket and your kneading trough shall be blessed. You shall be blessed when you come in, and you shall be blessed when you go out. Yahweh will cause your enemies who rise up against you to be struck before you. They will come out against you one way, and will flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh will command the blessing on you in your barns, and in all that you put your hand to. And he will bless you in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. Yahweh will establish you for a holy people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, and walk in his ways. All the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you. Yahweh will make you plenteous for good, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give you. Yahweh will open to you his good treasure in the sky, to give the rain of your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall lend to many nations, and you shall not borrow. Yahweh will make you the head, and not the tail, and you shall be above only, and you shall not be beneath. If you shall listen to the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I command you this day, to observe and to do, and shall not turn aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to the voice of Yahweh your God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come on you and overtake you. You shall be cursed in the city, and you shall be cursed in the field. Your basket and your kneading trough shall be cursed. The fruit of your body, the fruit of your ground, the increase of your livestock, and the young of your flock shall be cursed. You shall be cursed when you come in, and you shall be cursed when you go out. Yahweh will send on you cursing, confusion, and rebuke, in all that you put your hand to do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the evil of your doings, by which you have forsaken me. Yahweh will make the pestilence cling to you, until he has consumed you from off the land, where you go in to possess it. Yahweh will strike you with consumption, and with fever, and with inflammation, and with fiery heat, and with the sword, and with blight, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish. Your sky that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. Yahweh will make the rain of your land powder and dust. From the sky shall it come down on you, until you are destroyed. Yahweh will cause you to be struck before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them, and shall flee 7 ways before them. And you shall be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth. Your dead bodies shall be food to all birds of the sky, and to the animals of the earth, and there shall be none to frighten them away. Yahweh will strike you with the boil of Egypt, and with the tumors, and with the scurvy, and with the itch, of which you cannot be healed. Yahweh will strike you with madness, and with blindness, and with astonishment of heart, and you shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropes in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways. And you shall be only oppressed and robbed always, and there shall be none to save you. You shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house, and you shall not dwell therein. You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not use its fruit. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and you shall not eat of it. Your donkey shall be violently taken away from before your face, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you shall have none to save you. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look, and fail with longing for them all the day, and there shall be nothing in the power of your hand. The fruit of your ground and all your labors shall a nation which you don't know eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always, so that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. Yahweh will strike you in the knees and in the legs with a sore boil, of which you cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head. Yahweh will bring you and your king whom you shall set over you to a nation that you have not known, you nor your fathers, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. You shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the peoples where Yahweh shall lead you away. You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but you shall neither drink of the wine nor harvest, for the worm shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your borders, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olives shall drop off. You shall father sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. All your trees and the fruit of your ground shall the locust possess. The foreigner who is in the midst of you shall mount up above you higher and higher, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. All these curses shall come on you, and shall pursue you and overtake you, until you are destroyed, because you didn't listen to the voice of Yahweh your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be on you for a sign and for a wonder, and on your seed forever, because you didn't serve Yahweh your God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, by reason of the abundance of all things. Therefore you shall serve your enemies whom Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron on your neck, until he has destroyed you. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you shall not understand, a nation of fierce facial expressions, that shall not respect the person of the old, nor show favor to the young, and shall eat the fruit of your livestock and the fruit of your ground, until you are destroyed. That also shall not leave you grain, new wine or oil, the increase of your livestock, or the young of your flock, until they have caused you to perish. They shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fortified walls come down, in which you trusted, throughout all your land. And they shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your God has given you. You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, whom Yahweh your God has given you, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemies shall distress you. The man who is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children whom he has remaining, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left him, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemy shall distress you in all your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, who would not adventure to set the sole of her foot on the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one who comes out from between her feet, and toward her children whom she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemy shall distress you in your gates. If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your God, Then Yahweh will make your plagues wonderful, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and severe sicknesses, and of long continuance. He will bring on you again all the diseases of Egypt, which you were afraid of, and they shall cling to you; also every sickness, and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, Yahweh will bring them on you, until you are destroyed. You shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of the sky for multitude, because you didn't listen to the voice of Yahweh your God. It shall happen that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to cause you to perish, and to destroy you, and you shall be plucked from off the land where you go in to possess it. Yahweh will scatter you among all peoples, from the one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. And there you shall serve other gods which you have not known, you nor your fathers, even wood and stone. Among these nations you shall find no ease, and there shall be no rest for the sole of your foot. But Yahweh will give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and pining of soul. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear night and day, and shall have no assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, I wish it were evening, and at evening you shall say, I wish it were morning. For the fear of your heart which you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see, Yahweh will bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way of which I said to you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall sell yourselves to your enemies for bondservants and for bondmaids, and no man shall buy you. Chapter 29. These are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Moses called to all Israel and said to them, You have seen all that Yahweh did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land; the great trials which your eyes saw, the signs and those great wonders. But Yahweh has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear to this day. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not grown old on you, and your shoes have not grown old on your feet. You have not eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that you may know that I am Yahweh your God. When you came to this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon, and Og the king of Bashan, came out against us to battle, and we struck them, and we took their land, and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of the Manassites. Keep therefore the words of this covenant, and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. You stand this day, all of you, before Yahweh your God, your heads, your tribes, your elders, and your officers, even all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your foreigner who is in the midst of your camps, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, that you may enter into the covenant of Yahweh your God, and into his oath, which Yahweh your God makes with you this day, that he may establish you this day to himself for a people, and that he may be to you a God, as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him who stands here with us this day before Yahweh our God, and also with him who is not here with us this day. For you know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nations through which you passed. And you have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman, or family or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from Yahweh our God, to go to serve the gods of those nations. Lest there should be among you a root that bears gall and wormwood, and it happen, when he hears the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, to destroy the moist with the dry. Yahweh will not pardon him, but then the anger of Yahweh and his jealousy will smoke against that man, and all the curse that is written in this book shall lie on him, and Yahweh will blot out his name from under the sky. Yahweh will set him apart to evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that is written in this book of the law. The generation to come, your children who shall rise up after you, and the foreigner who shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses with which Yahweh has made it sick, and that the whole land of it is sulfur, salt, and burning, that it is not sown, nor bears, nor any grass grows therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and in his wrath, even all the nations shall say, why has Yahweh done thus to this land? What does the heat of this great anger mean? Then men shall say, because they forsook the covenant of Yahweh, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and went and served other gods, and worshipped them, gods that they didn't know, and that he had not given to them. Therefore the anger of Yahweh was kindled against this land, to bring on it all the curse that is written in this book. And Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger, and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as at this day. The secret things belong to Yahweh our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Chapter 30. It shall happen, when all these things have come on you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations where Yahweh your God has driven you, and shall return to Yahweh your God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul, that then Yahweh your God will turn your captivity, and have compassion on you, and will return and gather you from all the peoples where Yahweh your God has scattered you. If your outcasts are in the uttermost parts of the heavens, from there will Yahweh your God gather you, and from there he will bring you back. And Yahweh your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good, and multiply you above your fathers. Yahweh your God will circumcise your heart, and the heart of your seed, to love Yahweh your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, that you may live. Yahweh your God will put all these curses on your enemies, and on those who hate you, who persecuted you. You shall return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments, which I command you this day. Yahweh your God will make you plenteous in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you shall obey the voice of Yahweh your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, if you turn to Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment which I command you this day, it is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven, and bring it to us, and make us to hear it, that we may do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, and make us to hear it, that we may do it? But the word is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. Behold, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil, in that I command you this day to love Yahweh your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his ordinances, that you may live and multiply, and that Yahweh your God may bless you in the land where you go in to possess it. But if your heart turns away, and you will not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce to you this day that you shall surely perish. You shall not prolong your days in the land, where you pass over the Jordan to go in to possess it. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore choose life, that you may live, you and your seed, to love Yahweh your God, to obey his voice, and to cling to him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Chapter 31. Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel. He said to them, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in. And Yahweh has said to me, you shall not go over this Jordan. Yahweh your God, He will go over before you. He will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall dispossess them. Joshua shall go over before you, as Yahweh has spoken. Yahweh will do to them as He did to Sihon and to Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land, whom He destroyed. Yahweh will deliver them up before you, and you shall do to them according to all the commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid, nor be scared of them. For Yahweh your God, He it is who does go with you. He will not fail you, nor forsake you. Moses called to Joshua, and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and courageous, for you shall go with this people into the land which Yahweh has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. Yahweh, He it is who does go before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you, neither forsake you. Don't be afraid, neither be dismayed. Moses wrote this law and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and to all the elders of Israel. Moses commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the set time of the year of release, in the Feast of Tents, when all Israel has come to appear before Yahweh your God in the place which He shall choose, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and your foreigner who is within your gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn, and fear Yahweh your God, and observe to do all the words of this law, and that their children, who have not known, may hear, and learn to fear Yahweh your God, as long as you live in the land where you go over the Jordan to possess it. Yahweh said to Moses, behold, your days approach that you must die. Call Joshua, and present yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may commission him. Moses and Joshua went, and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. Yahweh appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood over the door of the tent. Yahweh said to Moses, behold, you shall sleep with your fathers, and this people will rise up and play the prostitute after the strange gods of the land, where they go to be among them, and will forsake me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall come on them, so that they will say in that day, haven't these evils come on us because our God is not among us? I will surely hide my face in that day, for all the evil which they shall have worked, in that they are turned to other gods. Now therefore write this song for yourselves, and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore to their fathers, flowing with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves, and grown fat, then will they turn to other gods, and serve them, and despise me, and break my covenant. It shall happen, when many evils and troubles have come on them, that this song shall testify before them as a witness, for it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed. For I know their imagination which they frame this day, before I have brought them into the land which I swore. So Moses wrote this song the same day, and taught it the children of Israel. He commissioned Joshua the son of Nun, and said, be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I will be with you." 003:018 It happened, when Moses had made an end of writing the words of this law in a book, until they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, saying, "Take this book of the law and put it by the side of the ark of the covenant of Yahweh your God, that it may be there for a witness against you. 003:019 For I know your rebellion and your stiff neck. Behold, while I am yet alive with you this day, you have been rebellious against Yahweh, and how much more after my death! 003:020 Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes, and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and call heaven and earth to witness against them. 003:021 For I know that after my death you will utterly corrupt yourselves, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you; and evil will happen to you in the latter days, because you will do that which is evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke Him to anger through the work of your hands." 003:022 Moses spoke in the ears of all the assembly of Israel the words of this song until they were finished. Chapter 32. Give ear, you heavens, and I will speak. Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall condense as the dew, as the small rain on the tender grass, as the showers on the herb. For I will proclaim the name of Yahweh, ascribe greatness to our God. The rock, His work is perfect, for all His ways are justice. A God of faithfulness and without iniquity, just and right is He. They have dealt corruptly with Him. They are not His children because of their defect. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus requite Yahweh, foolish people and unwise? Isn't He your Father who has bought you? He has made you and established you. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when He separated the children of men, He set the bounds of the peoples, according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is His people, Jacob is the lot of His inheritance. He found him in a desert land, in the waste howling wilderness. He surrounded him, He cared for him, He kept him as the apple of His eye. As an eagle that stirs up her nest, that flutters over her young, He spread abroad His wings, He took them, He bore them on His feathers. Yahweh alone led him. There was no foreign god with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth. He ate the increase of the field. He caused him to suck honey out of the rock, oil out of the flinty rock, butter of the herd, and milk of the flock, with fat of lambs, rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the finest of the wheat. Of the blood of the grape you drank wine. But Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You have grown fat. You have grown thick. You have become sleek. Then he forsook God who made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They moved him to jealousy with strange gods. They provoked him to anger with abominations. They sacrificed to demons, not God, to gods that they didn't know, to new gods that came up recently, which your fathers didn't dread. Of the rock who became your father you are unmindful, and have forgotten God who gave you birth. Yahweh saw and abhorred, because of the provocation of His sons and His daughters. He said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very perverse generation, children in whom is no faithfulness. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. I will move them to jealousy with those who are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, burns to the lowest Sheol, devours the earth with its increase,
and sets the foundations of the mountains on fire. I will heap evils on them. I will spend my arrows on them. They shall be wasted with hunger, and devoured with burning heat and bitter destruction. I will send the teeth of animals on them, with the poison of crawling things of the dust. Outside the sword shall bereave, and in the rooms terror on both young man and virgin, the nursing infant with the gray-haired man. I said, I would scatter them afar. I would make their memory to cease from among men, were it not that I feared the provocation of the enemy, lest their adversaries should judge wrongly, lest they should say, our hand is exalted. Yahweh has not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel. There is no understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How could one chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them, and Yahweh had delivered them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, the cruel venom of asps. Isn't this laid up in store with me, sealed up among my treasures? Vengeance is mine, and recompense at the time when their foot slides. For the day of their calamity is at hand. The things that are to come on them shall make haste. For Yahweh will judge his people, and have compassion on his servants. When he sees that their power is gone, there is none remaining, shut up or left at large. He will say, where are their gods, the rock in which they took refuge, which ate the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offering? Let them rise up and help you. Let them be their protection. See now that I, even I, am he. There is no God with me. I kill and make alive. I wound and I heal. There is no one who can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven, and say, as I live forever, if I whet my glittering sword, my hand take hold on judgment. I will render vengeance to my adversaries, and will recompense those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood. My sword shall devour flesh with the blood of the slain and the captives, from the head of the leaders of the enemy. Rejoice, you nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants. He will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will make expiation for his land, for his people. Moses came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Joshua the son of Nun. Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel. He said to them, set your heart to all the words which I testify to you this day, which you shall command your children to observe to do, all the words of this law. For it is no vain thing for you, because it is your life, and through this thing you shall prolong your days in the land, where you go over the Jordan to possess it. Yahweh spoke to Moses that same day, saying, go up into this mountain of Abarim, to Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and see the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel for a possession, and die on the mountain where you go up, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died on Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people. Because you trespassed against me in the midst of the children of Israel, at the waters of Meribah of Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you didn't sanctify me in the midst of the children of Israel. For you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go there into the land which I give the children of Israel. Chapter 33. This is the blessing with which Moses the man of God blessed the children of Israel before his death. He said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose from Seir to them. He shone forth from Mount Paran. He came from the 10,000s of holy ones. At his right hand was a fiery law for them. Yes, he loves the people. All his saints are in your hand. They sat down at your feet. Each receives your words. Moses commanded us a law, an inheritance for the assembly of Jacob. He was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people were gathered, all the tribes of Israel together. Let Reuben live and not die, nor let his men be few. This is for Judah. He said, Hear, Yahweh, the voice of Judah. Bring him into his people. With his hands he contended for himself. You shall be a help against his adversaries. Of Levi he said, Your Thummim and your Urim are with your godly one, whom you proved at Massah, with whom you strove at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and of his mother, I have not seen him. Neither did he acknowledge his brothers, nor did he know his own children. For they have observed your word, and keep your covenant. They shall teach Jacob your ordinances, and Israel your law. They shall put incense before you, and whole burnt offering on your altar. Yahweh, bless his substance, accept the work of his hands. Strike through the hips of those who rise up against him, of those who hate him, that they not rise again. Of Benjamin he said, The beloved of Yahweh shall dwell in safety by him. He covers him all the day long. He dwells between his shoulders. Of Joseph he said, His land is blessed by Yahweh, for the precious things of the heavens, for the dew, for the deep that couches beneath, for the precious things of the fruits of the sun, for the precious things of the growth of the moons, for the chief things of the ancient mountains, for the precious things of the everlasting hills, for the precious things of the earth and its fullness, the good will of him who lived in the bush. Let this come on the head of Joseph, on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. The firstborn of his herd, majesty is his. His horns are the horns of the wild ox. With them he shall push all of the peoples to the ends of the earth. They are the 10,000s of Ephraim. They are the thousands of Manasseh. Of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in your going out, and Issachar in your tents. They shall call the peoples to the mountain. There they will offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall draw out the abundance of the seas, the hidden treasures of the sand. Of Gad he said, He who enlarges Gad is blessed. He dwells as a lioness, and tears the arm, yes, the crown of the head. He provided the first part for himself, for there was the lawgiver's portion reserved. He came with the heads of the people. He executed the righteousness of Yahweh, his ordinances with Israel. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's cub that leaps out of Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, Naphtali, satisfied with favor, full of the blessing of Yahweh, possess the west and the south. Of Asher he said, Asher is blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brothers. Let him dip his foot in oil. Your bars shall be iron and brass. As your days, so your strength will be. There is none like God, Jeshurun, who rides on the heavens for your help, in his excellency on the skies. The eternal God is your dwelling place. Underneath are the everlasting arms. He thrust out the enemy from before you and said, Destroy! Israel dwells in safety, the fountain of Jacob alone, in a land of grain and new wine. Yes, his heavens drop down dew. You are happy, Israel. Who is like you, a people saved by Yahweh, the shield of your help, the sword of your excellency? Your enemies shall submit themselves to you. You shall tread on their high places. Chapter 34. Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. Yahweh showed him all the land of Gilead, to Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, to the hinder sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, to Zoar. Yahweh said to him, This is the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your seed. I have caused you to see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over there. So Moses, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Yahweh. He buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knows of his tomb to this day. Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. The children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping in the mourning for Moses were ended. Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands on him. And the children of Israel listened to him, and did as Yahweh commanded Moses. There has not arisen a prophet since in Israel like Moses, whom Yahweh knew face to face, in all the signs and the wonders, which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all the mighty hand, and in all the great terror, which Moses worked in the sight of all Israel. The end of chapters 28 through 34 from the book of Deuteronomy, and the end of the book of Deuteronomy from the World English Bible. Recording by Mark Penfold.